My company is Amadeus Pictures. I named it after Amadeus Mozart. When I saw the movie Amadeus, I said, I loved it so much, I said, I want to name my company after that. I thought it was just such a beautiful film, and it kind of inspired me, the film Amadeus, to do a lot of things. When I first started my career, I started in a film called Blood In, Blood Out, or Sangre por Sangre in Spanish. And this film kind of set off my career, and it was very much, even though it was dramatic and commercial, it was very artistic in a way. And I always loved, as a theater guy early on, to do artistic kind of films. So I found myself doing films later on that were action films. I wasn't very happy. So later on, I got out of just the acting thing and began to do films that are more artistic. It's funny because I never set out to be a distributor, which Amadeus is a distribution company. I started out as just an artist. They wanted to express himself as an actor, and then later on as a director, and then a producer. And then the distribution thing didn't hit till later on. When I was trying to get all my films distributed, I found a lot of how would you say, stop signs, so to speak. And not just in getting the films distributed, but getting the right distribution deal. And also getting paid from a good distribution deal. I mean, many artists out there, many filmmakers, many producers and actors that do, there are not many people that do what I do, which is everything, right? Direct, produce, and star. But people that are trying to get their films distributed run into these problems. And I started to ask myself, how can I get out of these or how can I make loopholes, I should say, to make this work? How can I get distribution for my films? And then I thought, well, let me go to the markets and kind of feel them out a little bit. And I came to the AFM. That was the first one I came to, and it was like a madhouse. It was like a fruit bazaar in some instances. Well, when you first walk in, it was like all these different salesmen and buyers. It was so intense, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. This is where all the films, whether it be Brad Pitt, Damian Chapa, Gary Busey, whoever it may be, actor or actress, whatever, their films end up at this market. I don't care how big or small they may be. And here are all these intense buyers and sellers getting it together, and just like any other business, any other bazaar you go to, it's just a bunch of people buying and selling. And it became a little bit more simple to me, this whole distribution thing, although complex at the same time. How do you get your film sold? Well, you have to get buyers to buy your film for certain markets. So in the beginning, I was not very smart about it. I wasn't very savvy about it. I didn't know, well, how do you do it? So I just started asking people, hey, are you interested in buying my film? But I didn't have the suite. I didn't have the distribution badge. I didn't have the company really in place yet. But I started learning, being on the bottom floor where everybody tries to get their things. So what are the goals for a filmmaker who wants to distribute something? Well, the first thing you have to do is get a respectable company going where they believe that you're going to continue to deliver films. It can't just be one film. You have to have a whole slew of films. You have to have a catalog. The moment you begin to get 8, 9, 10 films together, they start going, oh, this guy's serious. Because early on, I would have a couple of countries buy from me, but the majority of the country, and I couldn't understand why, because I had these great films. Because it's not about just making a good film at the market. It's about being a company like Amadeus is now, that people are aware of and trust. They want to trust you, and that is my goal now, is to be a company that's considered to be a trustworthy company that delivers. Early on, I was an artist that needed to express. I grew up in a very intense way, very controversial life myself. It was a very difficult life. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in very tough ways, and a lot of emotional things, and tough childhood. So for me, I always wanted to kind of, in one way or another, tell stories that might help other people. I'm very compassionate, or I try to be compassionate, and there's sometimes I have a temper, which maybe is good for being a director, because, you have to have those kind of a duality in order to be a director. You have to be a little bit off keel to be a director. You're dealing with all these actors and actresses and all these beautiful people, and sometimes eccentric people, and you have to put it all together, and this puzzle has to come together. And the puzzle, not everybody can put a puzzle together very quick. Some people can't put puzzles together, period. And that's what a director is putting a puzzle together and making people want to see the finished puzzle. And I've been blessed to be able to learn how to do it not by somebody teaching me, but by doing it. That's the difference, I think, about what I do.